my fight fans. So, with the possible Nick Diaz return, I want to ask you guys something. Who do you think Nick Diaz should face? Because I know in this interview that he did in UFC 282 Watch Party, he talked about coming back and he talked about one person he wants to fight. And that person just so happened to be Israel Adesanya. Now, we know that's not going to happen. We know that Israel Adesanya is pretty much already booked and slated to go against his rival, the man that beat him at UFC 281, is Alex Pereira. You know, it's going to be another rematch. It's going to be part 4. They're going to build up to it. It's going to be great. Um, Outside of that, honestly, I feel like that fight would actually transpire if Izzy did win, because we already know Izzy was lagging on opponents. Like, who, if Izzy did win against Alex Pereira, who would Izzy face right now? Like, who would he go against right now? You know, he already beat multiple opponents twice over. You know, so he needed some fresh meat. So if Nick Diaz would have called him out, I promise you, Izzy would have said 100%, oh, hell yeah, let's go. Let's do this. Because it's Nick Diaz. You're not going to not give him a title shot. You know, it's just how some things work. You know, it's like, what would you rather see? A part 3 with Marvin Vettori, a part 3 with Robert Whitaker, a and part 2 with Paulo Costa, or a Nick Diaz fight with Israel Adesanya. It's hands down, everyone would pick Nick Diaz. It's just how it goes. But we already know, again, like I just said, it's not going to happen. So who would he fight against? My first 2 choices I would personally see happening would be a Robbie Lawler Nick Diaz part 3, because, you know, Robbie Lawler did get beat by Nick Diaz in that first fight in the earlier days of the UFC, and then Robbie Lawler got the win over Nick Diaz in the second fight back in 2021 of September. Can't remember what UFC number that was, but yes, it was in September. So the second one I would have to go with would be actually a really good fight and a really good build up to it. That would be for the BMF title against Jorge Masvidal. That would actually be a very, very fun fight. A very fun fight. Because, you know, already Jorge Masvidal already got his number, his brother's number. He pretty much beat him pretty badly back in 2019 of November, and pretty much was crowned the BMF champion. And these two guys are like from the streets. These guys are 100%. I mean, honestly, for a BMF, I really feel like the original guy was Nick Diaz, but, you know, Nate came in and did his thing because Nate is a BMF himself. So that would be 100% a great fight, a great story for these guys to go. And my third choice, because I would say 3 choices, not 2. It depends. Because if Nick Diaz is just coming in here to try to maybe make some noise and, you know, just get big fights, or is he actually trying and be a little serious for title contention? And depends on what weight class he's going to do it at. Because if he's going to do it at welterweight, I would not want to see him against Hamzat Chimaev. I know people are already going to talk about that, because I would like to see where Nick Diaz is at first. Because if you get that prime Nick Diaz, that prime 100% upfront Nick Diaz, then yeah, I could see Hamza having some real issues. But if we get that Nick Diaz that we saw against Robbie Lawler, it will be a long night for Nick Diaz. But that could be another one. That could be like an honorable mention. Outside of that, I would like to see him possibly go against maybe even a guy that's not going to necessarily wrestle with him. And you got a lot of wrestlers up in that welterweight class, like a Kobe Covington. We already know will wrestle with him. Kamaru Usman will wrestle with him. I'm not sure if he would get an automatic title shot against Leon Edwards. So my thing was if he would go up to middleweight and possibly challenge a Darren Till, because that would actually be a very fun fight if you think about it. You know, Darren Till is not necessarily your well-known grappler, and he's not a high high when it comes to like just walking around and like running around. He is up in your face. He's trying to make it into a brawl, and that's how Darren Till is. So I feel like that's what kind of Nick Diaz needs, because we already know Nick Diaz has always struggled with wrestlers. You know, if you got someone like we seen like George St. Pierre, he was able to take him down at will, no problem. And some in his earlier days, in his earlier career, I remember even Diego Sanchez was a high caliber wrestler at the time and was able to take him down at will. And yeah, he's a great black belt jiu-jitsu. I believe in Gracie jiu-jitsu. But still, it's just he always had trouble with wrestlers. So I really would not want to see him against the wrestlers. So that's why I would have chosen a Robbie Lawler who is going to straight up stand in with you and bang, Jorge Masvidal who is going to stand up and bang, and possibly a Darren Till who's also going to stand up and bang. I wouldn't want to see him against any other wrestlers because yeah, it's just not going to happen. Now, if he's trying to go after a title, eventually he's going to have to face a wrestler and he's going to have to handle that. And I feel like he could with his little background, well, not little, excuse me, with his background with jiu-jitsu, I feel like he definitely could. He could be able to handle his own and be safe. But still, for his return, I would definitely prefer to see him against a stand-up guy. So let me know what you guys pick. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about who Nick Diaz should face. Should he face one of the guys that I chose, or maybe do you guys have a different option? Let me know in the comments, guys. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.